Hey everyone, for the next couple days, we're looking at gender and worship. I praise you because you remember me and everything and hold on to the traditions just as I handed them on to you. But I want you to know that the source of every man is Christ, the source of the woman is the man, and the source of Christ is God. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head, and every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It's the same as her head being shaved. For if a woman doesn't cover her head, then she should cut off her hair. If it's a disgrace for a woman to have her hair cut off or be shaved, then she should cover her head. Okay, so the issue that Paul's dealing with here is women praying and prophesying in worship with uncovered heads, possibly their hair down, but probably the first. And that may not seem like a big deal to us, but in their culture, this was something that would be considered controversial or shocking. And these women who are doing it are probably doing it as a sign of their freedom in Christ. And so this really is a relevant issue for us because we have to think about how does our gender factor into worship, if at all. Now, the biggest surprise here is that Paul is actually kind of happy with them. He says, I'm praising you for holding onto the traditions. Something that he taught, they're following through on. So what is that? Well, the best guess is that it's probably what we find in Galatians 3:28, where you have this formula of in Christ there is no slave or free, Jew or Gentile, male and female. In fact, it seems like that was used in baptisms in the early church. And so it's that no male and female that they're picking up on. And Paul, as he often does in this letter, is saying, well, you're right, but let's think a little bit deeper about some of this. And so through this, he appeals to the tradition that I just mentioned, and then also creation and culture, because both creation and culture are relevant to thinking about gender, and still are. And, culture changes. We'll even see that as we look at this. And even creation itself is re-envisioned through Christ. Now, one of the words that becomes pretty sticky here is Paul talks about the man being the head or the source. The word he uses can be either. So it's obviously metaphorical. And some do prefer or go with the more hierarchical reading, right? Head equals boss. Men are superior to women. That's not the only way that you could read it. He's going to refer to Genesis and man is the source of women there. And since he makes a comparison to God and Christ, well, there's no hierarchy there. In fact, it was declared heresy by the early church to say that Christ is subordinate to the Father. And, this was written in a patriarchal culture, so it's tricky. And we're going to see, again, Paul's main argument about that tomorrow. I think we want to notice, though, his overall purpose is to think about how can women continue to pray and prophesy, which is really just speaking publicly, in an appropriate way in public worship, right? We know this is public. If it were private, he wouldn't be talking about it. Prophesying presupposes there's an audience. All of chapters 11 to 14 is actually about worship. Next is Lord's Supper, right? These are all things that are happening in church. It's a house church, but it's still church. And so, his concern so often is to allow as much freedom as possible as we have in Christ, while also being aware of cultural sensitivities. So if there truly is no male and female, and we are all one in Christ, we're always going to have to wrestle with what that looks like on a practical level, so that Christ can be always honored by all who are given a word from the Lord, whether male or female.